for a lot of students appearing for the professional level exams of the ACCA for the first time, it could be nerve-wracking. You've given so many papers before this which are either completely MCQs or part MCQs, part subjective. You've basically finished your fundamental level and now you're entering the big boys league, right? So professional level exams sometimes is extremely intimidating for a lot of students. That being said, if you learn these few tips and tricks, and as we called it in the another video, the cheat codes for the ACCA exams, hopefully in those 3 hours, 4 hours of your exam, you would feel so much more in control, so much more prepared, that confidence in those 3 to 4 hours exams will be the reason between the difference between you passing and failing. For all P-level students, tip number 1, read the requirements of the questions first. There will be an entire case study in any of the papers, and at the end are the actual questions which the examiner wants. They are called the requirements. So why do you have to read the requirements first? A lot of reasons, right? Reason number 1, when you read the requirement first and then you start reading the case study, you are so much more prepared to, as you read the case study for the first time, you know exactly what you're looking for. You know exactly how to break the question down. You know exactly what part of the question is applying to which requirement, which will speed up your entire process of information gathering. 2, you don't have that much time in the exam to read the entire case study once, read the requirement, understand what they're asking, and then read the question again to find the answers. It's better to read the requirement first and then directly go and find the answers. And the third reason for this tip number 1, right, is let's say you read the whole case study and you start solving the first requirement. According to you, you're answering the whole requirement exhaustively in full, and for all you know, as you go ahead, you'll realize that in another sub-question, they have the same answer that you fit into the first sub-question. It complicates it, it slows you down, and it just basically demoralizes you. Read the requirement first. Tip number 2, read the requirements of all the questions first. Instantly, you will have an indication of what kind of questions they are, what topics they're covering, and most importantly, which questions are you best prepared for. And when you start the exam, by the way, because you read the requirements first, you know which question is where, which one is easy according to you, which one you're well prepared for. Start with the ones you're best prepared for and have the highest chances of you scoring. Get the most amount of marks in the first few questions that you attempt, because that will be again the difference between you passing and failing. Tip number 3, the time management strategy that you follow is going to be of utmost importance. So there are 2 types of strategies you can follow for time management. Your professional level paper is 3 hours 15 minutes. So that comes to essentially 195 minutes. And it's a 100-mark paper. That means per mark you have 1.95 minutes. So hypothetically, if it's a 10-mark question, you have 19.5 minutes. You should not go overboard when you solve the 10-mark answer. You should not go over the 19.5 minutes time limit, because every additional second you spend on this question is taking away additional seconds it's taking the allotted seconds from the other questions away. If you do not complete the paper, it's a complete waste. The chances of you clearing the exams are much higher if you complete the 100 marks. The other strategy is plan your paper by going behind the questions that you know will take lesser time and putting the additional time in the longer difficult questions. Tip number 4, professional marks on offer. Now, ACCA in its professional level papers offers marks for professionalism anywhere between 4 up to 20 marks in a 100-mark paper. So what are these professional marks? The examiner wants us to present the paper in a professional manner. It includes all our soft skills. It includes our presentation skills. In what kind of a structured manner can you answer a question? How well can you break it down for another person? How is your language, your analytical skills basically, right? All these, the clarity of your communication, all these things are professional marks. That means it has nothing to do with your studies. Your studies will be anywhere between 80 marks of a paper all the way to 96 marks. The balance is only for how well you present it. And this is not something that happens naturally. It does not happen because you are, according to you, a professional person. It does require practice, and it requires continuous conscious attempts before and during the paper to score these. But if you put that effort, it is the easiest marks out of the 100 to score in the professional level exams. Now, the fifth tip, mocks. Appearing for 2, 3, and hopefully even 4, 5 mock exams before the exam is the most important effort you will put in your preparation. Think about it like this. If you appear for a mock exam, and let's say in the first mock you scored a 40, do you know that if you had not given the mock exam, your final exam score would be around 40? If you skip the first and it's 40, and then the next 2 or 3 attempts you get 60s or 60s and 70s, when you go for the final paper, it's like the 4th or 5th time you're attempting an entire exam. By that time, you have enough preparation, muscle memory. You just basically are, again, not getting stuck in the process. You're so focused on getting the right answers delivered that the chances of you scoring more in the final exam than all your mocks is also higher. So the mocks give you an indication of where you stand today, and it's important that you keep increasing your level so that the mocks indicate that you are ready to pass when you go for the final exam. Tip number 6, be very particular about what the examiner is asking you when you read the requirements. You know, the words such as state or list or evaluate, explain, calculate. The examiner will specifically use one of these words for a very particular reason. He wants us to answer his question in that particular form. For example, if the examiner writes evaluate and he starts the question, the requirement with an evaluation point, your and my job as candidates is to provide him all scenarios that can take place for that question. Scenario A, scenario B, scenario C, and then you can suggest which is the best scenario because you are evaluating the options. Whereas if he uses the word analyze, then you don't need different scenarios. You need to take what case study you have and just break it down into points that make sense to all of us. That is what analysis is. Tip number 7. Tip number 7 is completely on self-awareness. Now, why do I say self-awareness? ACCA sets their paper with one very particular point in their mind. Out of 100 marks, they will definitely put 5 to 10 marks which are extremely difficult, might be out of the box, and its aim is to slow you down. The goal is that you need to be self-aware enough that what do you know, how prepared you are. So when you enter the exam and you start reading the requirements, you will know which questions you are sure of answering, which ones you know partially, and which ones you do not know. The do not know might generally contain this difficult 5 to 10 marks. When you come across these questions, guys, for the time being, skip it. If you invest your focused energy on a question which you are not sure of, which is out of the box, which is difficult, not only will you waste time and energy, but you will lose confidence, you will lose morale in the paper, which is really, really important for all of us to pass the exam in those 3 hours. So the tip here, guys, is that skip the questions which are obviously out of the box and difficult. And to do that, you need to know how well prepared you are. If you can manage this, and out of those, let's say 10 marks are complicated out of 100, and you score well in those 90 because you skipped those 10 marks in the beginning, you will score really well for that 90, and then you can spend the balance time trying to score that little additional marks from the difficult question. And just for you guys, we have a bonus tip. Try and focus and improve your vocabulary. It's not because you are unable to communicate your answer. It is not because you would lose professional marks. But if you answer a professional level paper, a 20-mark answer, as though you are still in college, right? If you answer it in your own casual conversational tone, manner, and language, it does not bode well with the examiner. Even if you pass, I can guarantee you that a well-articulated exam with better vocabulary will score more than somebody with just the same content but not having this kind of vocabulary. Invest time, energy. It not only will help you in your ACCA, but as you go for interviews, as you start working, any which ways you'll have to build this up. Might as well do it at this level and ace it from day one. So guys, with that being said, thank you so much for watching this video. If you found it of any help, please do subscribe. And if you've missed anything, if you'll have anything to ask, please leave them in the comments.